In the winter of 1988, a woman named Greta Winton was cleaning out the attic of her home in Maidenhead, England. It was a routine afternoon, until she pulled a heavy, dust-covered scrapbook from an old suitcase. She opened it, expecting to find old tax records or family photos. Instead, she found the faces of hundreds of children, names she didn't recognize, addresses in Prague that no longer existed, and a list of foster families across Great Britain. She looked at her husband, Nicholas, a quiet, 79-year-old retired stockbroker who spent his days gardening, and asked a simple question. "Nicky, what is this?" Nicholas Winton looked at the book. For a moment, the ticking of the clock in the hallway felt like a hammer hitting an anvil. He didn't want to talk about it. He said it was just some old business from before the war. But Greta realized she wasn't looking at business. She was looking at a secret that had been buried for 50 years, a secret that proved her quiet husband was the only reason 669 people were still drawing breath. Today, we step back to 1939 to uncover how one man's cancelled vacation became a race against the shadow of the swastika. 1938. The world was holding its breath. British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain had just returned from Munich, waving a piece of paper and promising peace for our time. But in Czechoslovakia, peace felt like a death sentence. The Nazis had just moved into the Sudetenland. Refugees were pouring into Prague by the thousands, mostly Jewish families who knew exactly what the Nuremberg laws meant for their future. They were living in makeshift camps in the freezing mud. No heat, no hope. Enter Nicholas Winton. He was 29 years old, a socialist, a stockbroker, and a man with a sharp mind for logistics. He had a skiing trip booked for Switzerland, but a phone call from a friend, Martin Blake, changed everything. "I'm in Prague," Blake said. "I'm working with refugees. Don't bring your skis, bring your brain. I need help." When Winton arrived at the refugee camps, he saw something that broke the professional composure of a stockbroker. He saw parents holding out their infants to him, strangers, begging him to take them. Not themselves, just the children. They knew they were trapped, but they hoped their children didn't have to be. Most people looked at the camps and saw a tragedy. Winton looked at the camps and saw a logistical problem that needed a solution. Winton had no official status. He wasn't a diplomat. He set up an office at a dining table in the Hotel Scrapbook in central Prague. Word spread like wildfire. Soon, the line of parents stretched out the door and around the block. Every parent had a story. Every child had a name. Winton began to make a list. He realized that while the British government was slow to act for adults, they had a Kindertransport program for children. But there were conditions. Cruel, impossible conditions. For every child, Winton had to find a foster family in England. He had to secure a £50 bond, equivalent to about $4,000 today, to guarantee the child would eventually leave Britain. And he had to get them out before the Nazis took the rest of the country. Winton returned to London during the week to work his day job, then spent his nights running his rescue agency. He placed ads in newspapers. Wanted, foster home for a 7-year-old boy, refugee from Prague. He was a one-man NGO. Back in Prague, the first train was ready on March 14, 1939. Can you imagine the atmosphere on that platform? The sound of hundreds of children, some as young as 2, clutching wooden suitcases. The parents were whispering lies to keep them calm. "It's just a holiday," they said. "We will see you in a few weeks." They knew it was likely a final goodbye. The train pulled away. Winton stood on the platform, checking his watch. 1 train down, 7 more to go. On March 15th, the Nazis occupied the rest of Czechoslovakia. The Gestapo was now watching the trains. Winton's operation became a dance with death. He began to forge visas when the Home Office was too slow. He bribed railway officials. He was a stockbroker playing a high-stakes game where the currency was human lives. By August 1939, 8 trains had successfully carried 669 children to safety in London. But the biggest transport was yet to come. September 1st, 250 children. The children were on the train. The parents were waving from the platform. The whistle blew, but the train didn't move. That morning, Hitler invaded Poland. The Second World War had begun. The borders were sealed instantly. The 250 children were ordered off the train by German soldiers. They vanished into the fog of the Holocaust. Winton never saw them again. Out of those 250, historians believe only a handful survived the camps. Winton didn't come home and tell the story of his heroism. He came home, joined the RAF, fought the war, got married, and lived a quiet life. He felt he had failed. He couldn't stop thinking about that 9th train. The suitcase remained in the attic for 50 years, until Greta found it. She took the scrapbook to a historian who took it to the BBC. He's sitting there, an old man in a suit, looking a bit uncomfortable with the attention. The host, Esther Ranson, begins to read from his book. She describes a girl named Vera Gissing. Then she says, "Is there anyone in our audience tonight who owes their life to Nicholas Winton?" Look at Winton's face in this moment. He doesn't look proud, he looks overwhelmed. He realizes that the children are now doctors, lawyers, parents, and grandparents. The 669 he saved had become thousands of lives. The silence of 50 years was broken by the sound of a standing ovation. Nicholas Winton was eventually knighted by the Queen. But he never changed his tune. He always said, "If something is not impossible, then there must be a way of doing it." He lived to be 106. When he died in 2015, he left behind a world that was better because he decided to skip a ski trip. Think about that. One man, one list, one refusal to accept no for an answer. The Nicky's children now live all over the globe. They are the living proof that while evil is loud and destructive, goodness is often quiet, patient, and persistent. History is filled with the names of people who wanted to be famous, but the most important names are often the ones written in a dusty scrapbook, hidden in an attic, waiting for a sunbeam to find them. Nicholas Winton didn't need the world to know what he did. He only needed the children to be safe. So, I leave you with this. In a world that feels like it's catching fire, what list are you making? What suitcase are you filling? Because the time to navigate is now. If you believe that one person can still make a difference, subscribe to the Time Navigator. Because these stories are the maps we need for the future. Until next time, keep your eyes on the light.